Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about 2.2 Step 1, the authorial choice work that you're going to be doing as you read the book. You'll have 5 chances to look for examples of one authorial choice as you read the book, and then to analyze each example, evaluate the effects of each example, and interpret the meaning of each example. This is really crucial because it's going to help you write your higher level essay, and that's why it's a must do. All right, let's take a look at what I want you to do here. My cat is making noise. Stop making noise, cat. I've given you sort of an explanation of it here. I think it's helpful to read through that to remind yourself why this stuff is important. I'm not going to read it to you right now. But here are the key directions. Choose one main authorial choice to trace as you read and follow that same choice throughout the book. And I think you're probably going to want to choose one from the list. I say on here you could find something else. But if you do that, make sure you bounce it by me first, okay? The first thing is structure. I think this is such a great thing to trace in this book. I hope you will take me up on tracing this one, someone. It's a good one. She explains why she structures the book the way she structures it in the prologue. And so we have the words of the author herself to use to kind of, explain how this authorial choice works. And so I think that would be a great one. Now, if you use this one, it's not going to be you finding necessarily 3 different quotes inside the text. It's going to be more you talking about how the chapters are structured, like what time period is it? How does it work in relation to the next chapter chronologically, things like that. And so I'd be happy to work with you on this too if you want to tackle this one. I think it would make for a really good essay. Description of setting is a good one. I have a couple links in here. You can access this document in class information folder, the class information folder in Schoology, and then you can get these links too. The setting is a good thing to trace. Feel free to do that. Ghost specter motif is an interesting one. Keep in mind that she does use this in a figurative way. It's not like literal ghosts that are coming and talking to her. All right. She doesn't really think she's being haunted. Instead, it's figurative. It's a way to explain her emotions. And so look for those motif or that motif if you like. References to silence versus speech. I have a sample on this one I'm going to show you in a sec. Hypothetical scenarios is an interesting one. I also think this would work really well and hope somebody will take me up on tracing this one. Hypothetical scenarios in a memoir are interesting because a memoir is supposed to be what you remember. And so she's gone a step further and included some scenes or fragments where she says, I think it went down like this when she wasn't there, or she's thinking of things that happened even before she was born. And so I think that's a really interesting aspect to look at. I hope that somebody will follow that one. The motif of photographs and recordings is another one that you could trace. She talks a lot about pictures that she still has or that she remembers, or videos and other kinds of recordings. And I think, that is connected to the memory of some of these people who have passed away. The motif of mirrors is a good one. And that's something that you could look at. I think it probably closely connects to her identity. So that's number 7. Number 8, motif of cars. Cars play an interesting role in the book. I think this might be an interesting motif to trace. I would love to see what you come up with for it. References to storms is another good authorial choice to trace. 10 is characterization of the 5 men who died. And I have a link here about characterization that you're going to want to make sure you make use of if you tackle number 10. 11 is the use of titles. all of the ways that she titles the chapters, and then looking carefully at the language used within those chapters. All right, let's take a look at a sample now. This comes from a student last year, and I would like to, I guess I can't make it larger. I would like to just show you an example of someone who traced silence versus speech. Okay, so the very first thing is to find at least one example, hopefully 3 examples of your authorial choice. The student found 3, and they wrote here about this one on page 11. Well, it's about time for y'all to be getting down the road. What she said without saying was, it's not safe for you here. The clan are here. You should not be caught out on these roads in the dark. If you go to the next frame, you'll see the analysis portion. So the analysis is where you are to name it and claim it, right? And use something having to do with dits. So what she is doing here is explaining why the example that she just gave is an example of silence versus speech. And so she says this is a reference to someone saying something without literally saying it. It is a kind of hinting at the real meaning. What would happen if they don't get going is that they would be in danger of being treated violently by the KKK. The phrase, "it's about time," creates the feeling of urgency without trying to show the grotesque danger a more literal warning would create. So it's a kind of hinting, it's a kind of, saying something implicitly without explicitly saying it. That's how it is an example of silence versus speech. If we move to the next portion, this is the evaluation, right? When you're looking at the effect of the choice on the reader. And so in this case, the student said, the effect of this moment where what is said is hinting at a literal warning creates a foreboding feeling, but also a sense of alleviating the fear by making it implicit, hinting rather than explicitly stating the warning. And then the last part is to look at how it might connect to theme. This is the interpretation part. So I've got the 4 themes here, and this student saw the power of creating a new narrative come here. She says, we see the effects of Josh's death and how Ward is grieving while also trying to cope with the death of Raj. The unstated words that she then states in the text show us how she's able to cope with the trauma. Even though she couldn't say these things at the time, she thought them, let herself think them and then remember them and voice them here in her memoir. The power of her telling the story is not just to communicate it to the reader, but to the loved ones who she is still trying to comfort and to make some kind of sense of the loss herself. So I think this one is probably actually better connected with her second and third examples now that I see that. So her second and third examples you can take a look at. I think they better connect with her interpretation than with the first. So here's her first, the second example is something that she can't quite say. Her third example, again, is something she can't quite say, but that she thinks of now after the fact. For 2 and 3 on the analysis, here's what she's able to come up with. And for 2 and 3 in evaluation, here's what she comes up with. All right, I hope this helps you get started with tracing authorial choices as you read the first 40 pages. Good luck to you.